Welcome everyone to Random Wrestling Talk episode number 15. Today we're just going to discuss mainly about what happened at AEW's Double or Nothing pay-per-view. Excuse me, I'm starting to develop a cold. I think probably a sore throat or some kind of shit at my wonderful job that I have, because people don't go home when they're sick. They have to work while they're sick anyway. So I probably picked up some kind of germ and it got in my body somehow and got me sick. Anyway, point being, AEW's Double or Nothing pay-per-view from last night. I'm not going to do a full-on review or go over every match that happened and so on and so forth. But this show was a solid show. Very fun, very wrestling-like feel. Didn't feel like a three-ring circus. I felt like my intelligence wasn't being insulted. And I was given something to look at and say, hey, I'm happy to be a wrestling fan. This is something that I can look at and show someone and say, hey, this is some cool shit. You know, it felt like it had a touch of everything. It had a touch of the Ring of Honor type of feel, New Japan Wrestling, some of WWE's positive stuff, not negative stuff. There's two things about AEW's Double or Nothing pay-per-view that kind of struck out at me that makes WWE better than AEW right now in my eyes. And that's their women's division. I think WWE has it over on them on that. And I'm talking about their top-notch, like main eventers, not the mid-card women in that division of WWE. But the top 5 women in WWE, I think, are way better than most of the women in AEW or any other wrestling promotion for that matter. I think WWE has a gold mine when it comes to the women's division with their main eventers that they use repetitively on Raw and SmackDown most of the time. The other thing is WWE's production. As of late, though, WWE's production, such as camera angles, more along the lines like showing off graphics and stuff like that for the proper person, quote unquote, last month's WWE shakeup with the Usos supposedly being a surprise but was given away before they even showed up into the ring. So they kind of fucked up with that. So that being said, that kind of made things, it makes WWE's production a little bit bad, but they're still a lot better than AEW. AEW kind of fucked up in their show. They didn't really give you a very solid image of the AEW World Title. Now, this AEW World Title is huge. I mean, it's pretty fucking big. I'd say the damn belt weighs at least 20 to 25 pounds, maybe even 30 pounds for that matter, but I might be going a stretch with that. All honesty, they had everything going. They have wrestlers. They got guys that people have never really heard of in the indies. So they got their own roster. They didn't just grab a bunch of guys from other promotions and throw them in there. A lot of their wrestlers come from indie promotions where they didn't get a very big name or very much mainstream knowledge to the regular public. You know, as someone who's just a casual wrestling fan. Someone who researches and looks through all different aspects of wrestling from other wrestling promotions in the world. Yeah, they're going to find those people. But people that just watch strictly American wrestling and just watch WWE or Ring of Honor for that matter, because Ring of Honor and Impact Wrestling are the only other two American wrestling promotions until AEW came along that people really could pay attention to. And Ring of Honor and Impact Wrestling aren't exactly the biggest wrestling promotion in the world either anyway, so probably people didn't pay attention to that either. Point being is these guys are being placed on a big stage with a company with loads of money from the Khan family, and then you got them being shown on TNT, which is a worldwide television station that a lot of people watch. So that's given them a great opportunity to show their skills and promote their brand of their name on television. Bottom line is, I honestly think that AEW will be a success. I don't think AEW is going to be the company that brings WWE to its knees, meaning like the sense of WWE going out of business. So don't expect that to happen. I think WWE is just going to go out of business completely on their own because they're not making the right decisions. They've built a resume and a reputation that is so huge, I don't think any company could bring them down. I think just WWE in itself would bring themselves down to begin with. WWE, bottom line is they're just not promoting enough wrestlers as main eventers. That is the issue. They're depending too heavily on the superstars they've already developed and leaving them there while not developing other stars in the process. And that's the major issue I see with WWE. Now, AEW has that kind of ability. They got a great matchup set up for the world title. Hangman Page versus Chris Jericho. Jericho beat Kenny Omega. And Kenny Omega losing, we get freaking Hangman Page versus Chris Jericho. I don't think Chris Jericho should be the winner. Jericho's been a world champion, and he's won enough. What he needs to do is put over a guy like Hangman Page. Hangman Page deserves to be a world champion. He's fought in a lot of different wrestling promotions, and has won quite a few belts, but he's never won a world title anywhere. This would be a great start to building already a star into a megastar. Well, not a megastar, but a main eventer on their roster. Dean Ambrose, now Jon Moxley, made his appearance felt with doing what he did to Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho. I think him having a rivalry with Kenny Omega is going to be unreal. I think those two in a hardcore wrestling match, Falls Count Anywhere, would be a great setup for a main event match for one of these 3 pay-per-views coming up for AEW. So I'm definitely looking into that. I hope that they make that happen. I definitely see that happening anyway. Now, Chris Jericho winning his matchup, I actually enjoyed. I thought it was the right decision. I think the Young Bucks beating Pentagon Jr. and Phoenix, I think sucked. I think Pentagon Jr. Ray Phoenix should have won that match. But the wrestling was great. Everything in that match was freaking unbelievable. High pace, high flying action, a lot of great spots, and a lot of good action that happened throughout this entire matchup. If you haven't seen it, I would highly recommend buying the pay-per-view, or if you ain't got the money, try to find it somewhere online and watch it for free. Because this matchup was a fucking barn burner. Now, Cody Rhodes and Dustin Rhodes was a very heartfelt matchup. Yes, there was cheating by Cody Rhodes in this match, and that's because he's portraying this heel character. But honestly, you can't really look at Cody Rhodes as this heel character anymore because he's just so beloved and liked by so many fans that, not even me, I mean, he portrays the heel character great, but I can't even dislike him. He just gives off that genuine nice guy type of personality with a schizoid mind kind of deal. And that is something I really truly like about Cody Rhodes. And after Cody Rhodes beat Dustin Rhodes in his matchup, with them leaving him bloodied to death, Dustin Rhodes was bloodied to death throughout this entire matchup and that's because he hit a middle turnbuckle that Cody Rhodes ripped off when he was trying to do Shattered Dreams on Cody Rhodes. So Dustin Rhodes was very bloody in this matchup. So they did a blade job, which I actually appreciate. Now, don't overdo it. I think the worst thing to do is overdoing blade jobs on every single show. I don't think every show somebody should be bloody. I don't think it's absolutely necessary unless it's logical. It makes logical reasoning to do so. In this situation, I actually think that is the best decision that they did here. I actually enjoyed. I actually felt it was the right time to do something with what they did. And I wish WWE would do stuff like that, because there's a lot of times where people get hit with things that they legitimately have a reason to bleed. And if they're not bleeding on account of the actual cut made by what they did, then fucking make them do a blade job or something. But yeah, them doing that in this situation, I absolutely loved. Kenny Omega was also another bloody mess, but that was on account of a mishap by Jericho, and I think he might have accidentally broke his nose. I did like the fact that they threw in that Kenny Omega-Chris Jericho match about never blowing your nose because it'll make your eyes swell. Make your eyelids swell up. That was actually mentioned, I've actually learned that watching a UFC fight a long time ago, where a guy got a broken nose, and he blew his nose trying to get the blood out of it so he could breathe better, and his eye swelled up. It swelled up, and he looked horrible. The referee eventually had to call the fight on that UFC fight that they had. That's the same situation here, which was great that they brought that up. I thought the commentary was okay. There was some mishaps by the announcers, but the commentary, to me personally, I felt it was just, it didn't feel like WWE. Anything that doesn't sound like WWE, I'm extremely happy to listen to. I'd rather listen to anything besides Michael Cole, Brian Saxton, Tom Phillips, fucking Corey Graves, and Renee Young. I can't stand listening to those 5 people. They are the worst commentators in the world, and I don't even think it's their fault. It's just the way WWE makes them out to be. So, with that being said, it makes it very hard to want to listen to stuff like that. Now, in this situation, even though the commentary was messed up somewhat because JR didn't seem to know what the hell he was talking about with certain wrestling holds and wrestlers, and their other guy, their third guy in the wheel, who fucked up with the freaking announcement of the date when the tickets go on sale for All Out on August 31st. He said June 12th instead of June 14th, which is the actual date it starts for tickets to go on sale, is June 14th. It just blew me away how he could fuck that up. He didn't even know what the date was. That's horrible. But his commentary may have been dry, but it was play-by-play action. He was talking about what was going on in the ring. He wasn't having side conversations with the other announcers at hand. He actually was telling you what was going on in the ring, and some of his emotions and how he felt about some of the things that was going on in the match. So, with all that said, even though there was mishaps, things that need to be worked on and corrected, they were at least entertaining enough to listen to. They weren't perfect, but they were good enough to listen to and take as genuine commentators. At least in my opinion. If you guys don't agree, leave a comment down below and tell me why you don't agree. I'd love to hear them. Bottom line. Now, the in-ring action was superb. There wasn't really any matchup that was bad. I really think that a lot of the matches here were fantastic. Caught my attention most of the time. And the match that stood out the most was the Cody Rhodes Dustin Rhodes match. And the reason why is because there was a lot of heartfelt emotions going into it and afterwards. So, with all that, it tells a really great story and gets you even more invested in what they have to show you in the ring. I think that's the main reason why this match got such a high praise for its in-ring action. Not to mention the blood was a nice touch. It really showed a lot of gritty and determination by Dustin Rhodes and made Dustin Rhodes look legitimate like a superstar instead of a joked out Goldust. Like, who fucking wanted to see that shit anymore? This gimmick, the natural Dustin Rhodes, I like the gimmick. I think it's a really good deal they're doing with him, and it makes him look like a legit superstar. Now, the last thing I'm going to touch on is Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley, my God, a.k.a. Dean Ambrose. This guy looked fucking great. And I mean, he looked great. He kicked everybody's fucking ass in this show. He attacked the referee. He attacked Chris Jericho. He attacked Kenny Omega. I enjoyed watching him enter through the arena, come down to the ring like he's in the Shield, and beat the shit out of everybody. And he looked like a hardcore wrestling superstar, and he looked freaking awesome. He looked awesome doing it. He tore up the set by where the chips were from on the stage, and he fucking dirty deeds Kenny Omega right through one of the chips on the top of the stack of chips they had. I thought that was fucking awesome. He was badass. He was super cool. And I'll tell you the truth. Him going up and possibly building a storyline for a matchup for him and Kenny Omega to have at whatever pay-per-view they have is going to be fucking entertaining to see. I hope it turns into the main event of any card they're on, unless it's the world title. And if it's the world title, then that's a different story, because Jericho and Hangman Page going up against Jericho for the world title should be the main event, no matter what's on that card. So, with that being said, I think that if Hangman Page and Chris Jericho are not on the same card with Kenny Omega and Dean Ambrose, those two need to be the main event in a Falls Count Anywhere hardcore matchup. Because I want to see Dean Ambrose go all out as this Jon Moxley character that he did in CZW. Because, quite frankly, this is going to be fun as hell to see how he turns out in this company. Eventually, he is going to become the new world champion. A world champion in AEW. And I honestly feel that Dean Ambrose, a.k.a. Jon Moxley, should be the face of AEW. Bottom line, he needs to be the face unless you bring somehow, some way, bring CM Punk back to professional wrestling and put him into AEW. And if they are able to do that, if they are able to accomplish that and get him into this company, I swear to you, WWE is in a world of hurt right there. CM Punk will drag everybody that watches their program away from him. AEW, if they really want to put WWE out of business, they need to snatch CM Punk somehow, some way. Give him whatever the fuck he wants. Creative control, as much money as he wants, whatever. But get this guy on your program. You do that, get him on TNT, and have him show up at random. My God, people are going to fucking flip out in the internet, on the wrestling community. People are going to turn their head away from WWE so fast, they're not going to know what hit them. Swear to you. Because I really thought at some point they might have gotten CM Punk and signed him to a deal. Unfortunately, it did not happen. Maybe at some point he'll change his mind and maybe think about getting into professional wrestling again. I think it would be great, but I mean, maybe he just doesn't care to do it anymore. Maybe he doesn't like professional wrestling anymore because of his experience with WWE. And if that's the case, I totally understand from his point of view. But man, would he bring a crowd to AEW if they were to sign fucking CM Punk to AEW's roster? That's all I have to say on that, guys. Anyway, I thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this random wrestling talk episode for AEW's Double or Nothing. Hit the like button if you liked the video. Hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to this channel. And leave a comment down below and I'll get back to you on that as well. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a great night. Bye.